Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to part 4 of For Mother Matron. Last we left off, we met Mother. I think Mother is a demon mole lady. And it seems like some of you think so too. But let's see what happens. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to drag this over here. There we go. Alright, load. Oh gosh. What's the latest date? This one's the latest date. Okay. Alright, so we had just met Mother Matron, and now this is where we pick up. Wordlessly, we went down the long set of stairs to the first floor. It was less tiring going down than going up, fortunately. No, it does, Sherlock! The locker room itself sat in a hall side of the stairs, positioned towards the back of the monolith structure. The lockers themselves were in terrible condition. Most of the doors had either fallen off or were seemingly kicked in. We were still all shaken from the conversation with Mother Matron, but we tried our best not to let our fear manifest itself. Rich was the first to speak. Yeah. Yeesh. This seems horrible, or this smells horrible. No kidding. Let's get our crap and get going. Carefully avoiding the puddles and scummy tiles, Puck stepped past Rich to the lockers. He began rooting through them. What do you see? Nothing mind-blowing. But something's better than nothing in this situation, I suppose. Here. Oh, that's him. Never mind. Alright, Crowbar. Crowbar nearly bonked poor Rich on the head and knocked him out, but he fortunately caught it with a yelp. Ah, careful. Ah! You caught it, didn't you? You see, now I understand Puck's a little bit more, because it's like, come on, wimp. Puck rummages around some more. Yeah, this could work. Here, Lizzie, take this. Nice. Puck's, fortunately, handed me a large knife. It was a lot heavier than it looked. Careful, it's not the sharpest thing, but you can still cut yourself pretty easily with it. Carefully ran my right hand against the side of the blade. Its rusty surface felt scratchy against my fingertips. I'll be careful with it. What are you taking? Pucks pulled out a large wooden baseball bat. He took a few slow practice swings with it, getting comfortable with its weight. I'm taking this slugger. It suits you. Do you play baseball? I used to. Had a couple of friends I used to play with, but never mind, that's not important. Usually the rough characters in stories like this tend to have really intricate or deep or sad backstories. It was brief, but I saw his eyes briefly filled with sadness. I felt bad for asking, but I had a feeling apologizing would just hurt him more. Any tools in those lockers or something? I feel like we might need those. I have some in my toolbox, but let me take a look. Doesn't it work to have more to work with? Or doesn't hurt to have more to work with? Puck's rummaged around some more. Aha! A toolbox. Let's see what's inside. Not bad. Seems well stocked. Some of the tools are kind of old and rusty, but they get the job done. Adding you beauties to my collection. Alrighty, that's everything we need, or at least everything we're gonna have. You two ready? Yeah, I suppose so. Me too. As ready as I'll ever be. Pucks nodded and led us on. Through a shower room that was largely empty, save for one old hatch. I think this is it. Swallowed hard. Couldn't hear the light chattering of teeth behind me, probably coming from Rich. I looked at them and nodded, and we went down the hatch. We stood in a long dark tunnel which extended far ahead into pure darkness. The tunnel felt unnaturally cold, both to the skin and to the soul. The very air carried the message. This was a place that held nothing but abject misery. Even if you were blind to the descript appearance of the tunnel, the cold would tell you this was a place where happiness had never been. We could see our breath in the tunnel. White mist punctuating each exhaltation, I think. Happen to have another sweater with you, would you, Lizzie? No, sorry. It's not really helping me as much as you'd think it would. Still bet it feels warmer than what we're wearing. Hey, shut up! I hope it's less cold. I hope it's less cold further in a bit. That was weird. Weirdly written. That's probably futile. Should we get going? Pucks and Rich nodded. We descended further into the tunnel, trying not to pay mind to the fact that our chances of coming back out were slim to none. The craggy tunnels were illuminated by lonely light bulbs, which miraculously had not been burned out. Who knows how long they'd been burning down there? This must be some kind of mine. Really? I don't think we could have deduced that. Oh, maybe Lizzie couldn't. Really, what makes you say that? I've read some books about them, and the pictures in them look a lot like this place does. I'd bet you 20 Drox we'll find mining equipment somewhere ahead. I thought back to my market purchase earlier today. Well, unfortunately for you, I'm broke. What a shame. I'll take an IOU then. Gave a little laugh at that. It was nice to see that Pucks had a lighter side to him. Hey guys, look at this. What is it? It's like a journal or something. Resting on a wooden bench against the wall was a small little book with black leather or maybe a faux leather covering. Let's take a look at it. Do we really have time for this? Do we really have time? I'll take any excuse to not go further in, thank you very much. Jeez. These kids, they just... Like the two of them, just like Lizzie and Pucks just going back and forth at each other. And Rich is like, guys, can we all just get along? Or just beat me up instead so that everyone else can get along? I thumbed through the journal. Many pages were water damaged and illegible, but eventually I found a section that was somewhat readable. I read aloud. I love how it feels inside of me. I love the feeling of it crawling around inside my guts. The razors on its fingers scrape the walls and it hurts and bleeds, but I feel beautiful. What the crap? Is this recounting a drug trip? The feeling of a life inside, feeling of my insides, everything about me keeps it alive. Okay, so this is baby. Never mind. I will protect it with my life. Even if it hurts, I will kill if I have to kill. I will pillage if I have to pillage. When I will rest as dust to be blown off the top of an old shelf, scattering into the air as grain. Remembered, not for how I stood, but for the thing that grew inside of me. I cannot wait for it to hatch and crawl out from between my legs. This is a very odd way to explain childbirth. I mean, it's not too far from the truth, but still, though, it's kicking. The rest of the entry was illegible, and the writing stopped shortly after this point. What did any of that mean? Oh yeah, all of your knowledge is getting beat up. Sorry, dude. Sounded like it was written by someone with a few screws loose. I wouldn't read that deep into it. Save! Yes, override that save! What? I don't know. We looked around frantically. We couldn't see anything. Ah! What the frick is that thing? Thing behind Rich, I saw something in my mind that couldn't comprehend. A horrible, lumbering tower of meat with glassy blue eyes stared in cold hunger and malice. What the heck? It arrived in the distance, a living nightmare that was delighted to know that none of us could wake up to escape it. When it was hard to determine exactly when its attention was drawn, it was clear that Rich was in its sights. That was when it reared up and charged Rich. If I didn't do something, a monstrosity would do something terrible to him. Yell out to Rich, throw my knife! I had a knife with me. There was no way to be able to get I'd be able to get between Rich and the beast, but maybe I could cripple it or at least stun it. I raised my knife and mentally marked the beast's eye as my target. Take this. I threw the knife. This was bad. Oh, God. Oh, Lord. It struck Rich right through the eye. Oh, good Lord. Oh, no. Oh, no. Rich did not scream at me. He was silent. The knife had likely stuck in his brain. Rich went limp and fell to the ground. I had killed Rich. Rich was dead by my hand. I was in disbelief. I stood frozen in complete shock and horror at what I'd done. Beast did not wait for me to grieve. It lunged at me. Pain. An eruption of fire in my chest that flared down the whole width of my torso. The accumulation of millions of tiny pins pricking their way through my flesh. While I stood in complete shock, unable to comprehend the manslaughter I committed, the creature charged and impaled me on its filthy teeth. The saliva that coated them burned my insides. I could feel it. Okay, she died. You could just say she died. Puck screamed my name again. I didn't hear it, though. I was already gone. Then how did you know? Yeah, big whoops. Big whoops on that achievement. Okay. Let's do that again. All right. Okay. Alright, I'm gonna push him away from the creature. Charged towards Rich and shoved him out of the way. Wah! Shoved Rich to the wall, he's safely away, and now I stood in his place. Before I could get too comfortable, I heard the stomping of the beast. He was coming right at me. Had to think fast. Jump out of the way! I lost it. Dadgummit! Dadgummit! I was too slow. Okay, let's try again. Yell out to Rich. I yelled to Rich. I had to warn him. Time slowed. I needed Rich to turn around to do something, but he just stared at me dumbly for half a second. It felt like hours. Could I blame him, though? He had no idea why I was shouting him. Neither did his poor heart. Great. Rich fell to the ground, his eyes wide in shock. A torrent of blood began to pour freely from the hole in his chest. Horrible beast stood before me, uncomfortably close. Had to get away from the beast and had to do it immediately. Without really thinking about it, I ran to Puck's. Maybe my reptile brain remembered he was carrying a blunt weapon. Get behind me! I did. He held his bat raised and breathed rapidly, eyes wide. He stared at the creature down. The creature would rear up and attack, an action to which Puck would respond by feigning a swing of his bat. Like a snake waiting for the right opportunity to snatch up a little mouse in his gill. Okay, can we just have an idea, Lizzie? Get its attention. What? Just trust me. Get it to go towards you or at least away from me. You slimy jerk. No, seriously, trust me. You got any better ideas anyway? Didn't have any better ideas. Fine. Stepped toward the inside, seemed to keep an eye on Pucks. I had some room to think now. It was up to me to lure the creature away from them. Drew it toward myself. I'll throw a rock. I decided to throw a rock further down the tunnel. Maybe the noise would catch its attention. I looked at the suitable stone, threw it across the tunnel, crashing. But the beast did not care. Lizzie, I don't think I'm gonna kill both of them. I rushed to attack it from behind. I had failed to capture the beast's attention, but it didn't mean it was over. It just meant I had to hit the one from behind. Charged with my knife pointed straight ahead and rammed the blade directly into what I assumed was the creature's spine. It let out a bone-chilling shriek of pain. My heart was beating so fast, I sent shockwaves through my body. I was full of fury and adrenaline. I proceeded to stab the ever-loving crap out of the beast. That's the way. Pucks followed up with my strikes, his baseball bat cracking against the beast's horrible body in a sickening yet compelling rhythm. The next moments were a blur of concerto, of blood splatter and shouting. Thud, thud, squish, thud. Okay. The beast was lying on the ground, twitching and wheezing horribly. Its horrid stank of metal and rot pooled on the ground beneath it. With a pathetic little whimper, the creature stopped twitching. Its giant eye lost expression. Alright, so it's dead. Let's just say it's dead. And now we rush over to Rich. I ran to Rich's side. He was lying still, his eyes frozen up, open in shock, with the rest of his face expressionless. From a certain angle, you could see him as a person staring up at something frightening that just hung above it quiet. From another angle, you'd realize he was missing his own heart and that you could see straight through his chest. He could fear nothing anymore. Crap. And I'm not gonna pull a Markiplier and redo it for the best possible ending. It's a free game. You guys can play it and find the best possible ending. Looking at the gaping hole, you'd see steam, blood, and a horrible bubbly concoction of monster saliva and burning blood and flesh. The creature's spittle was eating away at his insides. Okay. Felt a lot of things in the moment. Okay, you could just say that. Where I tried to blink, I had, in that incredibly small instant time of existence, hope that, okay, just stop. Wishing you'd be back at home. This was not a dream, however. This was cold, biting, raw reality. It was unflinching and unyielding. Took great delight from watching my brain squirm. Okay, can we go? Rich was dead. He would never come back. He was gone forever. Pucks turned back to the creature. Crunch, smack, squish. Wow. I know. I felt the heat on my face. My cheeks burned. My eyes burned and the rivers of misery flowed freely. I liked him. I liked him a lot. I hate that. Ugh. Pathetic. I would have cried until my flesh ran dry, and I am certain Pucks would have reduced the beast into a pulpy puddle if we didn't hear that sound. This creature was not the first, and it would not be the last. More were coming. He snapped out of his furious bashing. Lizzie, I'm sorry, but we have to go. Okay. Ugh. He grabbed me by the arm and pulled me with him. We ran. Honestly, it sucks, but I've not known him long enough to be super attached to him. Ran faster than I'd ever run in my life, hoping beyond hope that we'd end up somewhere at least an iota less dangerous. I don't know how long we ran for, but eventually the horrible cacophony behind us gave way to silence. We were safe now, hopefully. I think we can rest for a minute. Pucks leaned against the wall while I sat on the ground. We were drenched with sweat and terribly out of breath. Should we go back once we're rested? I don't feel right leaving Rich to just rot back there or something worse. No, it's way too dangerous. You heard all of those things. Going back would be suicide. He stands for a moment, huffing and puffing. He takes a few deep breaths and his composure returns. I get it, I really do. But we gotta focus on our own survival now. He was right. I hated that he was right. Those beasts were alert and awake now if they hadn't already been. They were waiting for us. Taking one of them down was a nightmare in and of itself. Adding more to that equation didn't leave us with good odds. I decided that in the afterlife, if there was one, I'd have to apologize to him personally. Just sucks, man. After much wheezing and gasping for air, I got my bearings straight. I looked around. I was too focused on catching my breath to notice how dark the tunnel was. Where are we? You know about as well as I do. In other words, no idea. It's so dark. Do we have a light or anything? As a matter of fact, we do. Pucks pulls a flashlight out of his pocket and clicks it on. Oh, phew. It's really not looking forward to stumbling around in the dark. You're so reliable, Pucks. Yeah, well, I couldn't count on you two morons to stock up properly. Yeah, that's true. That's really true. We both laughed softly and trailed off into silence. We're kind of awful, aren't we? Pucks looked at me with consternation. Someone just died right in front of us and somehow we're laughing already. What right do we have to feel any kind of a joy in the face of all of this? My eyes started burning again. The tears flowed, albeit less readily than before. I'd probably severely dehydrated myself already from crying earlier. This is terrible. Everything's terrible. I want to go home. I sobbed messily. I looked around and sounded like a pathetic, blubbering baby. Makes me wince now thinking about it. Felt his hand pat my shoulder. I turned my head to look at his face, which was barely illuminated by the periphery of the flashlight. I'm not gonna pretend everything's okay. It's not. None of this is. But it's the situation we're in. What happened to Rich wasn't your fault. We're fighting for our lives against some horrible creature. We had to improvise and figure out how to deal with it. We weren't taught how to deal with any of this. Yeah, it's fair. You're not that bad a person, Liz. You're scared, and I'm scared too. We're surviving. You're alive and doing your best. I think most anyone would forgive you for an awkward laugh. And if not, screw them, honestly. Suppose you're right. Thank you, Pucks. That was pretty cool of you. Just speaking the truth is all. Still, it means a lot, Pucks. I'm starting to like Pucks more, the more that his character develops. Pucks gave me a warm, comforting look. It suited his face poorly, but was lovely to see nonetheless. Not to ruin the moment, we should get going. Not a fan of standing around in the dark tunnel. Me neither, let's keep going. We continued at a brisk but manageable pace. Let me save! No, let me save! I'll save that there. Okay. So, there's path number 1, which could be changed. There's path number 2, which is not going to change. This tunnel was really long. The silence was eerie and deafening. I had to fill the air somehow. Hey, can I ask you something? I don't know. Haven't heard the question. I rolled my eyes. You mentioned you used to have some friends you played basketball with, didn't you? Yeah. Why can't you play with them anymore? Did something happen? Yeah, something did. Care to elaborate? I'd prefer not to. Was it something bad? No, I just don't want to talk about it because it brings me too much joy. Of course it was something bad! Geez, sorry. Really, I am sorry. I didn't mean to upset you. I shouldn't have pried. Apology accepted. He's really like an okay guy. He really is. Like poor Rich was just too he was too trauma struck to be okay. Like he was going to walk away with some scars. He couldn't do anything else. I breathed a sigh of relief. Awkwardness encroached. Silence came home. Again. I kept my eyes glued to my shoes. I had friends that got sent down here. My eyes widened as I quickly turned to look at him. I got one of those letters, you know, like the ones we got. My friends Rocco and Wallace got them. They didn't tell me outright, but I saw the signs. I don't know where they got all withdrawn. They came to my place like usual. It was different. They'd look me in the eyes while we talked. But even looking directly at me, they were focusing somewhere thousands of miles away. Then they were just gone. Never heard from them again. Or at least, I didn't hear from Rocco again. Wallace came back. You know how that goes, though. Couldn't speak a single word properly, shaking like a dog that fell in ice water. Look in his eyes, a pitiful expression. He wasn't really Wallace anymore. I mean, he had the face and the name, but everything that made him Wallace was sucked out, gone, disappeared. My gosh, I'm sorry, Pucks. I had no idea. That's okay. Well, it's not okay exactly, but you didn't mean any harm. It wasn't your fault. Is that why you hate Mother Matron so much? Pretty much, yeah. I didn't exactly love her before like everyone else did. Hard for me to put my hope in crap I can't see with my own eyes, you know? Yeah, all right. I'm going to take that, use that as a moment. Okay, when it comes to Christianity and to religion as a whole, I get that the idea is that you know it's hard to have faith in something that you can't see. I get that. But at the same time, we can see signs of Christianity and of God outside of what we would normally be able to perceive. Like, for example, not just a change in somebody's life, because there's things that can, change a person outside of that, but we can look throughout history and we can see a consistency in the Word of God. This is why I talk a lot about the Dead Sea Scrolls, because the Dead Sea Scrolls show us historically that the Word of God was preserved accurately. If you don't know, I'll give you a super short recap. Dead Sea Scroll, the way that the Bible was passed down was not one person copied down and then another person took that copy and then copied down and then that person took a copy and copied down. And the reason why people oftentimes get confused about translations and how we know we can trust them is because people often think that it goes, here's one translation like the King James, and then here's the New American Standard that came from the King James because these people reworded it, and then from the New American Standard comes the ESV because people reworded the New American Standard, and they think it goes like along this line. Instead, what happens is we have the original, at least the Hebrew and Greek scriptures as far back preserved as we have. As far as we know, we don't have any original manuscripts, but we have copies of original manuscripts. And the King James, the New American Standard, the ESV, the NIV, all of them are translated from this one set of scrolls. And the way that we know that these scrolls are accurate is because we have these old documents that go back hundreds or even thousands of years that were hand copied, and we can compare them to the Greek and Hebrew manuscripts we have today, and we can say there is 99% accuracy. That's why there's such a big deal. That's something we can look at that will increase our faith. So, hard for you to put your hope in something that you can't see with your own eyes? Well, then put your hope in something that you can see with your own eyes. Look at the history. Look at how the Bible and history do line up, because there's a lot of areas one day I hope to put together with some other theologians and historians a compilation book of all of the different things in the Bible that we know for certain are affirmed in history. And that will give people even more evidence to believe that God exists. But seeing Wallace like that, I can't even forgive that loser for letting that happen to him. I don't care what people say she's done for us or how much people look up to her. She got my friends killed, and who knows how many before them. She can feed us all the crap about being necessary and unavoidable, but I don't buy it for a second. I can't say I blame you for feeling that way. I'm really sorry for what you went through. It's kind of hard for me to accept it. I really love the Mother Matron. I've been writing her a lot, believe it or not. She'd always say the nicest things, always tell me how wonderful I was doing. She supports me a lot, even if it's indirectly. Well, it's not like you're the only one. It's a lot easier to revere someone when they haven't stolen something from you, or at least when you're not aware of something being stolen. Couldn't really say anything to that. I didn't harbor the same hatred as he did, but I didn't disagree with him either. Plus, when we talked to her, something felt wrong. Her voice was nice and sweet, but the way she spoke to us didn't really seem that way. She seemed kind of scared, or she kind of scared me, actually. Tried not to focus on those thoughts, though, and instead decided to try and console Pucks. Thought about giving him a hug, but felt like something he'd find patronizing, and settled for a gentle pat on the shoulder. I know we've only met recently, but for the time being, we're the only two people we can rely on, so I don't know if there's anything I can do to help. Please let me know. Thank you, that means a lot. There are more important things to worry about, though. I need to keep focus. I understand, just don't forget, okay? I flashed him a warm smile. Thanks. Alright. That's where I'm going to call it for today. Yes, I want to overwrite that save file. I'm going to call it there for right now, guys. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. I'm not doing like super long episodes on this because I want to stretch it out a little bit. I'm not unlike a lot of the videos that I'm doing, these are not like super, 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 super pre-recorded. I'm trying to give you guys this content as it's being recorded. So, but that's all I got for right now. I want to thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you soon. Bye.